Hello friends, this is Worm and I have two things on the agenda for today. First one is my favorite game of is it laziness or is it an accident? A little Bungie oopsie daisy or a Bungie bruh moment, so to speak. And the other thing is why certain things were nerfed. I think I see the reason why certain things were nerfed. We're going to talk about each of those, but before we go any further, I did want to point out there will be some spoilers later on in the video. I will have another warning up on screen. No audio, it's just gameplay, but it is gameplay from the final mission of the campaign. So if you don't want to be spoiled, I'll put a warning up on screen. You can flip your phone over, just hear me talk because there's no audio for it. But with that being said, let's talk about the first one, which is my favorite game of is it laziness on Bungie's end or was it an accident? And I noticed this when I was playing. I finished up the campaign and I went and I talked to the vendor, who you will probably see on screen here in just a second. But I talked to the vendor for the location and I noticed something really odd. In the reward track, there are, of course, your standard Pale Heart Ingrams and stuff, but there's a new shader. And I got really excited because I love shaders and I love when they add new shaders. But something stuck out about this shader when I inspected it. And it looked very familiar. And the name sounded very familiar. And so I went and I looked at my collections, and lo and behold, the shader that is granted for the Pale Heart, ranking up your Pale Heart, is the same shader you get from Neomuna. It's called Scintillant Trajectory. Now, is this laziness on Bungie's end? I kind of want to believe that. Like, this is something I believe that Bungie would intentionally do, especially because they changed the shader icon so that shader icons are a little bit more difficult to identify right now. I really have a feeling that they put this shader in here and they said, we're going to put it in here because I bet not a whole lot of people are going to even recognize which shader is. We can just reuse a shader. That way we don't have to redesign a whole entirely new shader for the Pale Heart. And that's just like I said, I wouldn't put it past Bungie to do that. And it's a shame because like I said, I really like shaders. Like, we got a really awesome shader pack in the store. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. It looks great. We've got some shaders in collections that I've looked at. They look absolutely fantastic, but the Pale Heart just has a reused shader from Lightfall. Like, literally, like, I don't even know how you're gonna claim it if technically you already own it. Like, if you played the Lightfall campaign and leveled up Lightfall, the vendor rank on Neomuna, the Cloud Strider rank, you already have this shader. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. So that's the first half of it. But the other half is like, maybe it was on accident. Maybe Bungie was rushing to get things done. They used like a similar layout or something as they did for Lightfall, and maybe they just forgot to change it. I don't really know what the issue is. I don't know if that's the issue. I don't know if it's because they just left it there on purpose because they're lazy. But Bungie, please get that fixed. Please give us a new shader. I don't want to work my way up through the Pale Heart ranks just to get the same shader I already had from Nightfall, which again is called Scintillant Trajectory. It's this really neat blue and kind of chromish look. Like, it looks pretty good, but I want something different. But that's first. That's first thing out of the way. Second thing though, and this is where spoiler warnings are coming in right now. Swords got kind of nerfed. Specifically, Laments got kind of nerfed, and I think I know why. So last night I was playing through the campaign. I was on the final mission, and man, I was struggling really hard to beat that mission. Like, it was a tough mission. I'm using Prismatic, so I'm not super familiar with the business, the way it works and stuff like that. Like, I am still familiarizing myself with it, but I got to a point where I was like, okay, like, I need to switch something up. So I put on Stronghold and I put on Laments, and oh my god, did it make it a cakewalk to get through that final mission. Mind you, I did the legendary campaign solo too, so it was very difficult. Laments, and really I would say probably any sword, but Laments up against those subjugators, I mean, it cut through them like butter. I had no problem, like, almost just two-phasing these subjugators, and the subjugators, you've probably seen them in the campaign. If you played any amount of the campaign, you've run across subjugators, but it was impressive. And now I'm starting to see, I'm like, oh, maybe this is why they nerf Lament. Obviously we're gonna have I should say probably, not obviously, but probably we're gonna have a raid encounter where swords are gonna be the most viable DPS strat. Particularly maybe the newest sword, which I won't talk about any further, but a new exotic sword. But with that being said, like, Laments was absolutely baking these high level enemies. And not only that, but of course Stronghold's always been just a survivable option, and you can't survive everything with Stronghold, but you can survive a lot with Stronghold. And I wasn't having an issue after I put on Stronghold and Lament. And so this is, you know, I think I'm starting to see the reason. I wouldn't be surprised if within the raid we see encounters with like subjugators, you know, that can suspend you up in the air and stuff like that, because that was one of the big things that was really getting me, was, you know, getting hit with that suspend effect would put me out in the open. I couldn't get behind cover. I couldn't avoid, you know, any attacks. I'll just say that for now. But with Lament, even if you're suspended, you can block, and it just, I mean, it made it a cakewalk. Not just Lament, it was also Stronghold as well. I do have to give props to Stronghold, because Stronghold is such a strong exotic. Sorry, I had to do it. But with that being said, I mean, it's pretty impressive. Like, seriously, if you're struggling with the campaign and you're on a Titan, put on Stronghold, put on Lament, and test it out and see how good it is. And of course, Lament, it works with any subclass. You don't have to, or I'm sorry, Stronghold and Lament work with any subclass. I was using it on Prismatic. It doesn't have to be Prismatic. You can use it on whatever you want. That restoration ×2 is amazing. That sword blocking ability is incredibly strong. It blocks literally like almost all the damage that you can tank. There's one thing that you can't tank. Again, I won't talk about it. You might see it in the background, but there is one specific thing that you can't tank. But yeah, it's really strong. I'm starting to see why they maybe nerf Lament, because it was really messing up those subjugators, especially because those subjugators, they're kind of annoying. They take less damage, you know, and stuff like that, which is really frustrating. But yeah, that's going to be it, though. This is a little bit of a shorter video. Just 2 things I wanted to talk about today. Bungie, please, if you hear or see this video, please give us a Pale Heart shader. Don't just give us Scintillant Trajectory again. That's lame. I was so let down when I noticed that. Anyways, but yeah, that's it for this video. Of course, tell me your thoughts on Bungie reusing Lightfall shaders in the final shape, and tell me your thoughts on swords and Lament and Stronghold and stuff like that. And like I said, if you are struggling in the campaign and you're a Titan, I just want to put it out there. Use Lament, use Stronghold. You won't regret it. Guys, that's it for me. Do me a favor, watch the videos you see on the end screen here, because for whatever reason, YouTube thinks you'll like them. We'll see y'all in the next one. Bye for now.